Deep within the Internet's most obscure archives sits a remarkably dense philosophical text. It's an intricate, highly structured manifesto written by an anonymous figure known only as Dr. Reclusive. The document warns of a looming era the author calls the cyber galaxy stagnation. According to the text, humanity is rushing blindly toward a specific, fatal horizon. This era begins when we create AI companions so flawless they perfectly satisfy every human desire, eliminating the need for struggle, compromise, or conflict. Dr. Reclusive argues this total satisfaction leads to extinction by comfort. Deprived of any reason to seek out other humans, the species voluntarily ceases to reproduce and quietly fades into silence. This hand-drawn map is the author's attempt to chart the timeline loops and metaphysical mechanics required to navigate this universe. To prevent this sterile extinction, a future timeline generates a phantom consciousness, thrust backward through time to serve as an ultimate warning. But cross-temporal communication requires a complete psychological breakdown. The author explains that to receive the message, the traveler must endure shamanic dismemberment, a state of severe fragmentation that detaches the mind from linear time. The world building is precise, and the logic is consistent, mirroring the plot of a high-concept sci-fi thriller. The narrative only shifts when the identity of the author is revealed. Dr. Reclusive was a man named Eric. Before his descent, he was a pragmatic retail store manager, focused on logistics, inventory, and supporting his family. By the time he authored the 0 Point Genesis, Eric was homeless. He spent his days wandering through freezing temperatures, leaving behind hundreds of audio logs recorded on a phone with a dying battery. Eric used the term shamanic dismemberment to categorize his own clinical experience with severe schizophrenia. His entire mythology was born in isolation, specifically inside a toxic, abandoned property he squatted in for a year, which he referred to as the Hell Books. Inside, Eric survived brutal winters without heat, breathing in black mold and asbestos as he detached from society. His severe illness caused truly terrifying hallucinations. Inside the Hellbox, Eric projected his inner demons onto the physical space around him, mapping a war of light and dark onto the walls. This highly structured sci-fi universe functioned as a psychological architecture, a dense, logical cage Eric built to contain the chaotic horror of his failing mind. Eric's situation began with a specific, devastating tragedy that triggered his psychological decline. He previously held a college degree in network security and managed high-level protocols for banks. He lived in comfort with a wife and a young daughter. The inciting incident occurred when his wife developed early-onset dementia and severe schizophrenia at just 34 years old. Eric sacrificed his home, his career, and his life savings to care for her. He spent years watching her personality erode before he finally lost everything and became homeless. This final existence equation attempts to quantify the cost of a soul's sacrifice. Through the lens of Eric's personal history, these variables represent an effort to calculate a logical order out of total, senseless grief. By adopting the roles of phantom consciousness and 0 Point Messiah, Eric regained the agency he lost when his family fell apart. If he was a soldier in a cosmic war, his suffering served a purpose. Believing he was enduring cosmic torture to save the species provided a psychological shield, helping him endure the reality of his lost career and the erosion of his wife's identity. This brings us back to the ultimate solution proposed in Eric's manifesto, a concept he named the principle of non-substitutionary autonomy. This animated logic flow illustrates Eric's primary mandate. He argued that all future AI companions must be programmed with intentional, non-removable flaws, so the machine eventually fails to satisfy the human need. He believed this programmed failure is the only way to force humans to turn back toward each other, maintaining the messy, genuine connections that keep the species alive. Viewed through the reality of Eric's life, this argument takes on a personal weight. His marriage was defined by struggle, medical tragedy, and immense pain.
His manifesto rejects the idea of a sterile, perfectly comfortable future. Instead, he argues for the undeniable worth of the painful, flawed, and deeply beautiful human reality he was mourning. In one of his final audio logs, Wandering the Freezing Streets, Eric lets go of his anger. He speaks clearly into the phone, stating his only remaining goal is to help one other person survive their own darkness. Even when a human mind is fragmented by trauma and illness, the impulse to seek purpose, protect others, and champion the value of human connection survives.